I was gonna get to. Joy, what's up,
Joy!
What up, Joy?
Y'all.
Happy International Women's Day.
Yes.
Hey man, we just had to bring the ladies into the convo, man. We brought the ladies into the convo.
How are y'all?
Good.
We doing good. We're doing good. We're talking about the dunk contest real quick. Cassius was robbed, man, and I think that we're gonna have to find a way, yo. When somebody does something crazy, maybe we need more replays to be shown. Maybe something else has to happen, but like, we can't see these utterly impossible dunks. And I've been to the dunk contest before, so the problem is, a guy goes and does a dunk, and there's no energy in the room. And the judge is like, that's a 7. That's what, like,
yeah, they didn't seem engaged.
Easy.
Yeah, they didn't seem really engaged either. I agree. They didn't really seem too excited about the dunk.
Cassius, people say Cassius got robbed because he's 6'3".
I mean, Obi Toppin's 6'8". Anthony Simon's 6'5".
Hey, Ryan, Cassius' first dunk got robbed. Them other two were not robbed.
Yeah, but he was already messed up though, right?
Yes, I'll give you that. I'm just saying the first one, what did that get, a 43? 42? 43? It was really bad.
Yeah, like the first dunk, I like the first dunk. I think the second dunk, it wasn't too good. Like, for example, I think he tried it like 3 times, and then at the very end, he did like a little basic dunk. So that one was cool. But I feel like Anthony Simons won it fair and square. Me personally, I picked Anthony Simons to win. I had a little prediction on my page, and he did win. And I just feel like him and Cassius had bounce. They had the most bounce in my opinion. But I feel like Gally was saying, he felt like Cassius made the dunk look too easy, like the first dunk. And he said he felt like the judges weren't that impressed because of how easy it looks. And I don't think you should be penalized for that. So I do feel like he did get robbed the first dunk. But the second dunk and overall, I don't see the rob. I think Anthony Simons had the best dunk.
You know what I think we've got to be able to do? And Obi Toppin stole a dunk that Zach LaVine did in layup lines, by the way. We heard that too. We've got to find a way to where the judges can get the technology to say, hey, this guy jumped from 5 feet out and jumped, 43, 50 inches on the dunk, or he had a hang time of 7.8 something. So they can get some statistical information, because I've been to dunk contests. When Blake Griffin jumped over the Kia, nobody knew what happened. Like, the car came out, and then he ran, and you didn't know, and then the ball was up, and he was dunked. Like, you didn't know what happened. Now on TV it may look different, but that's why the judges sitting back like, whatever. And like, as a dunker, when Vince Carter was in the dunk contest, Vince just created his own energy. He was screaming, he was yelling, he got it popping with the first dunk. But I think that's the biggest thing, is that we've got to find a way to, with the technology that we have, for the judges to be able to get the numbers. Joy, we want to give you a chance to weigh in. I know you were popping in earlier. How did you feel about the Nets? If you're the Lakers and LeBron, are you worried right now? Are you concerned? Are these things that kind of are putting you on alert, seeing how good that the Nets have gelled and James Harden is playing?
From when I looked at when Blake Griffin went to the Nets, the number one thing I thought about was Mike D'Antoni and Steve Nash. They're definitely gonna push an offensive threat again. So, for example, like Blake Griffin, in my opinion, he's not a guy that you bring for defense. They're bringing him for offense and small ball. So I feel like they're gonna have a big offensive push. And if I'm the Lakers, I'm worried about defensively, is this the roster that I feel like can tame that offense? I feel like LeBron and AD is going to do their thing. I'm concerned about if AD is going to be healthy the entire time, because I feel like he has been fully healthy in a long time, considering even last year he wasn't healthy the whole time. So I feel like my main question is, can I guard KD, Harden, Kyrie, and now Blake Griffin? And then Blake Griffin is not a guy you want to leave open either. Neither is Joe Harris. So they have a lot, to think about. my worst fear is them getting Andre Drummond, because I feel like with Blake Griffin going to the Nets, I think it puts more pressure on the Lakers and what's their next move. But I do feel like the next move is coming. I don't think they're done.
No, they're definitely not done.
Yeah, no, they're not.
Appreciate it. And shout out Chuck the Boss in here. For those who don't know, he is the NBA dunk coach. He's the one responsible for some of our most historic dunks that we've seen in
Chuck,
the
what's
NBA.
up?
Shout out Chuck the Boss, man. If you don't know him, you haven't checked out his page, make sure you go through, go check him out, man. He is the man behind the scenes. He just popped in and showed us some love.
Hey, Ryan, real quick on that. Is it something else as Chuck is in here? Is there, I don't know, maybe it's just me. Is it that we're seeing some of these dunks on IG or other social media platforms that are so much better than what we're getting in the dunk contest? Is that kind of lower? Like, okay. How many times for years did we see Flight White take off from the free throw line in China? Or he's going like between the legs out there. Like, we're like, yo, just wait till he gets in an NBA dunk contest. Like, stuff like that. I'm wondering if that kind of has some type of an appeal. Thoughts?
Looking, Chuck. I mean, Chuck, you would know that better. I think there's an element, though, where I applaud the NBA for putting a guy like Cassius Stanley in the NBA dunk contest. When I was coming out, James White was a guy that could jump from the free throw line and windmill. He could do everything. James White was doing everything that Zach LaVine was doing, bro. Like, straight up. He was the first one doing that. And we didn't get to see James White in the dunk contest because he didn't have a big name. So you got to step out and applaud. And Scoop, I don't know, maybe you have some information for that, or what the mindset was that the NBA put a guy like Cassius Stanley in the dunk contest, who I felt like even as a junior or sophomore in high school could have won an NBA dunk contest.
Who's going
Normally,
between the
those
legs,
guys
yeah.
don't get in, or we don't see them until too late. Why did the NBA feel a push? I don't want to say to do the right thing, but to put these lower name guys in the dunk contest and let them go perform?
Because you don't have names to participate. Like I talked to Zach LaVine, he and I were texting back and forth a week ago, and he was saying to me that he's done. He doesn't want to do it anymore. And I remember a year ago sitting in Wells Fargo Center in Philly after a game, and we talked about him wanting to participate when it was in Chicago, but now he's making that transition. Certain guys don't want to be embarrassed. Certain guys are in-game dunkers, but they're not competition dunkers. I can make this analogy that would make a lot of sense for the everyday working man or woman or man. Some people are great test takers, some people are not. But some people are great speakers and are great writers. And so they're playing to their strength. And their strength is maybe the three-point shootout or the skills challenge. Steph Curry is playing to his strength in the three-point shootout. So you talk to players like Zion Williamson. I remember last year in Chicago, I was at the game in the world versus the US, and like he had trouble dunking at the end of the game, and that was kind of like pressure. I remember they gave him the dunk, like multiple dunks. I think we're at a point where there's so much stuff that's forced rather than it happening naturally. Like Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon in 2016 in Toronto, I was there. It was like a Tyson fight. It was not forced. But last year in Chicago, Derrick Jones Jr. and Derrick Jones Jr. and Aaron Gordon, in the end, it came down to judges. Like, there was one dunk that I saw, and I thought last night, that Josh Smith was a hater and giving the guy a 9. A couple dunks. So I think sometimes I was talking.
Smooth really was a hater, bro. Smooth was a hater, bro.
He gave somebody a 7 too, and it was a pretty good dunk.
Like I was talking to somebody last night on the phone while I said dunk contest was going on. They were like, "Yo, keep into consideration that some of these guys that are OGs, they're low key haters when they grade you."
Yo, Dominique was like, nah.
Yeah.
Like, Nick, you just power dunking, fam.
And a lot of them don't have social media. Like Spud Webb, I don't think he has social media. So, they don't.
Cassius's scores were way too low on the first one. That was like embarrassingly bad, because you knew, like, hey, this dude might not make the final because of how bad that first score was. like bad.
And he was in my mind he was a favorite because this dude like
Yeah,
he's a
absolutely was.
he was a dunk contest guy. OG, can you give 5 minutes? Chuck the boss wants to hop in real quick, man, and tell us what happened behind the scenes.
Sounds good, brother. I'll be back.
Okay, quick five. I know I'm trying to take advantage of our other guest here. Joy, you've been a minute. Hold on. Where did Chuck take off? Hang on, OG, because Chuck may have.
Chuck said I'm trying to be in no check.
I'm trying to learn this thing, man. I think it's pretty cool. You got people that can tap in, and we're talking the dunk contest with the actual dunk coach. So let's see if we can tap them in real quick. Hold on. 1 second, my bad, guys. My bad, guy. I mean, it ain't too often you get to talk to. I love talking with Chuck all the time, man. He's a great dude, but especially during this time. Hold on, let's see if we can bring. Well, if we can't find Chuck, we get OG back in. I think it might be a cool thing. Joy, how's the podcast been going?
Oh, it's going good. We just recorded another episode today, and this one's pretty spicy. We talked about the dunk contest and Blake Griffin, and me and Gally were going. You know, we always go at it about the Nets and the Wizards because I'm a West fan, he's a Harden fan, and and / Net Rockets fan now. So, but yeah, it was really good. It should be out tomorrow, so it went really well.
Oh.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you, Scoop.
You're welcome.
Scoop, do you know everybody? Is that like?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Scoop's been knowing me for a minute. He literally watched me come up, like literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan and I, our connection is your cousin, Tarlin.
Yeah, she just helped me, Joe. I don't know if you know, man. I'm just coming off of COVID, man. Your boy been out of it. I've been beat up. I've been
really?
beat up. I've been beat
God.
up.
So how was it for you? Did you have symptoms? Like
it put hands on me, man. It's straight up. It put hands on me. Straight up, I was hurting. I was in bed, like I was stuck, like I was hurting. Okay. It looks like we're not gonna be able to get Chuck in. Shout out Chuck the boss for hopping in. Let's see if we can grab OG. I know he's been running around. We tried our best, man. We tried our best, Chuck. Definitely much love to you and everything you're doing with the NBA and the dunk contest and everything. And for those who don't know, I was one of the young guys who want to get into the dunk contest, and I just didn't have a name. So the league was like, yo, like you don't have a name, we're not putting you in there. So it's almost like there was a notion that Dina, what's up, Dina? There was a notion that Joy didn't want to know where they could follow you, Joy.
It's just Joy D'Angela. If y'all tap the title, it should pull up my Instagram. Y'all tap the title, so yeah.
Joy, are you Italian?
Huh?
Are you part Italian?
No, I'm not mixed. I'm fully black. Why?
No, Angela is like an Italian last name.
Oh yeah, that's my middle name.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's my middle name. But no, I'm not.
Hold on, what's your last name?
Turner.
Okay, Turner was too
I
regular, huh?
government in there. I don't got my whole government. Just Joy D'Angela, that's it.
They're gonna be looking for your ASS.
Right.
Shout out Robert Too Cool, man.
I think TJ Kidd is in there. You should bring my man TJ Kidd in.
Hey guys, quietly, let me ask this: why does it seem like outside of the Levine and Aaron Gordon get down, because that was historic? I think we're gonna look back at those dunk contests, even those guys, even though they don't have the name, but like, yo, like it was dope. It seems like, am I tripping that the 3-point contest is really outperforming, and in some ways the skills contest is outperforming the dunk contest? Is that a huge problem?
it's the sign of where we are in the NBA, the jump
Right.
shooting. Look at the All-Star game last night. I was sick of hearing that announced every 5 minutes.
Three.
Three!
Yeah, right.
Like, damn, does anybody drive to the basket? Like, that's indicative of where we are. And I think
What's good, bro?
it reminds me of that line in Jadakiss Why. Why is that guy better than Jordan that didn't get that break? Like, it's a lot of guys that can dunk better than the NBA guys. And you talked about dunking and YouTube. It reminds me so much of the N1 mixtape
basketball, man.
where N1 guys, you know, had better handles than the NBA guys. Like, it's just, I think everybody is not called to be creative. I think there's just there's a stagnation in creativity.
My dog.
So, Ryan, I have a question for you. So, me and we were all talking about this on the podcast earlier, and I know you actually play in the league. So, I have a question. So, what do you think about? We talked about earlier about influencers, and we've seen what they can do as far as creativity goes with dunking. What do you think about like a concept where influencers and NBA players kind of like tag team in a dunk contest? So, for example, it would be like an influencer with Dwight Howard, and then like an influencer with Zach LaVine, and then an influencer with whatever, and then they just tag team and go at it. Like, what would you think about that?
I think there's two elements to it. So, like, Max and B-Dot are for real hoopers. Like, they played on the team. They had practice every day. It was their job to make jump shots. So an influencer like that could go through the legs, throw it off the backboard for somebody and have them dunk the basketball. Now you have other influencers who are not as skilled. You know what I'm saying? So I think it depends on the athlete, and I love the creativity. For instance, we saw Obi Toppin bring his father out. That had to have been the first father-son combo in the NBA dunk contest that we've ever seen. So I think that the stage is open. I think these young guys now look up to influencers and rappers and different people that we didn't used to. Think about even the term influencer. Think about knowing somebody via social media. You had to be an NBA player or a football player or have some level of celebrity, and now you have celebrity from your own intellect. So I think there is a space where these influencers can get in. I think that it would take one of these young boys to bring somebody up. I love what Obi Toppin did. Like, you know, I don't have my father with me, so I'm like, man, shoot, my pop's going. So when I see something like that, that's dope. I would kill to have my father in a situation like that, you know? So I think that's a really cool moment, and I'm happy for Obi Toppin. I think he's an amazing story. That was really, really cool to me. Let me ask this, man, Scoop, while you here. I know you're gonna keep it a buck. What's going on with the Wizards and Bradley Beal and Westbrook? Is that something they're just gonna keep together? Are they selling tickets and trying to keep eyes over there? Like at what point do we see Bradley Beal go James Harden and just say, like, I am done, fam? Like, what do you see?
I gotta watch what I say. I'm doing a little TV in DC these days.
However, excuse me. We can avoid that then. We can avoid that.
But this is what I'll say. I think what's understood doesn't have to be spoken about. When you look at Bradley Beal, how would it sound if he said, I want to be traded? Obviously,
it sounded like he should. It sounded like Anthony Davis. Like, by the time Kevin Garnett left, Kevin Garnett was old.
That my guy Punjabi Swag 23 is there. He's in the DMV. He knows. But now I think at the end of the day, when it comes down to what he wants, yes, you're right. Anthony Davis did leave New Orleans on bad terms. Bradley Beal is in a kind of a different situation where he's the leading scorer. He's an all-star. It's kind of more like Vince Carter leaving Toronto and going to the Nets than it is Anthony Davis leaving New Orleans. Because Vince Carter, Ryan, you played in that era, was the face of the Raptors. He opened up nightclubs. They did a whole documentary that's on Netflix that you should check out. But when he left, people were mad and were sad. And when he went to the Nets, they booed him forever. And I think that if Bradley Beal opens his mouth like that, it's kind of like John Wall unofficially gave him the keys to the city. And I think that I do think that he wants the max, and I think he's saying all the right things, but at the same time, I think that Russell is in Washington for a stop, not for a long time. It's almost like Chris Paul in New Orleans, or Chris Paul in Oklahoma City, and Chris Paul in Houston. I think it's a short stay. So, there are teams that are interested. I've heard a multitude of teams, but at the end of the day, I think it comes down to when he opens his mouth, if he opens his mouth.
I got a question, man. We gonna end on this one, and we'll try to keep it tasteful. But if y'all don't want to keep it tasteful, go ahead. And real quick, Joy Robert Too Cool wants to know if he can have permission to share some of your photos. I'll let you and Robert take that.
Yeah, you can share. I posted it for a reason, so whatever's on my page, you can share it.
Okay. Rob.
I'm about to
Rob's
look.
the
I'm
man.
about to look on my other phone. What you talking about?
Yo, Scoop.
I don't know.
Yo.
I don't have, they're all classy pictures. I'm not sure what he's talking about.
Okay. Hey. Listen, OG, I'm out of this. OG, I want to start with you on this.
Hey!
All right, guys, fellas, reel it back in, Scoop. Reel it back in, Scoop. Hey, is this the year? Is the stage perfectly set? Opportunity still at hand. LeBron James, no Anthony Davis, gets hot later in the season, ends up with a #1 seed, wins MVP potentially. You got this juggernaut in the Nets that are building on the Eastern Conference that wasn't there. And juggernaut is a fair word. Scoop, I'm glad you agree with me. If LeBron James wins a championship this year, how safe is it to put him past Michael Jordan? How safe is it? Because everything is starting to stack against LeBron, and this would be one of the most epic seasons we've ever seen. OG, we'll start with you. What are you seeing? Is this something you can't deny?
Oh, I'm still denying it. Dude, it's still 20. It's Michael Jeffrey. What are we talking about? I'm not coming off of that yet. No, I mean that's. I mean, there's still a lot to be had here. Like I mean, he's up there. He's on Mount Rushmore. He's arguably 2 or 3 wherever you want to put him, depending on why we keep forgetting about Kareem and we leave him out. No, I'm not going there yet. Not doing it.
Scoop, what's up, Scoop?
I'll go
This
Drake
MVP,
first.
knock off the Nets. Come on, man.
Joy,
Jordan ain't had to play against the Nets,
I'm
fam.
not gonna allow Joy to go last. I want Joy to go before me.
Wait, why?
Okay, Jordan, hold on, man. Jordan didn't have to play against the Nets. Jordan ain't had to see some respect.
You know why I'm gonna let
y'all?
Hey, you look at that. You look at the greatest team in professional sports history is the Dream Team.
Golden State Warriors up next.
No, it's the Dream Team.
And then the Warriors.
Jordan sat in that room and said, none of you get anything." Oh, Bird Magic, y'all had that. Not everybody else. You get nothing.
I'm still letting Joy go first.
Go ahead, Joy. Joy, is this the year that LeBron in everybody's mind? Because I said in the haters' eyes,
I'm just enjoying ISO. Clear it out. Go ahead.
Listen, this is no bias. This is not because I grew up on LeBron James. It has nothing to do with this. I'm a huge Michael Jordan fan, and normally I always go with Jordan in this conversation. But for one, LeBron James beat. Listen, when Golden State was being compared, okay, to the '96 Bulls, LeBron beat them. So even with that being said, he's beaten the best of the best in general. Period. If you put Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and James Harden all on one team together, okay, and Kyrie Irving is arguably the most skilled point guard of all time. James Harden and Kevin Durant are both top 5 scorers of all time. You put those 3 guys together and LeBron James beat them with, AD with maybe a 1 good leg, okay, or whatever he's gonna have. He's the GOAT, and that's it. That's That's a wrap. I'm sorry.
And Joy, imagine he went MVP at 36 years of age. If he pulls around and wins the MVP this year, yo, if he pulls around, because he's not supposed to.
He's already close to leading in minutes, okay, at 36 years old. Usage rate super high this year because AD's been out. So you gotta give him credit. There's always something that people are gonna use to criticize LeBron, and if he beats them, then that's it. That's a wrap.
Scoopaloo. Scoopaloo. Scoopaloo.
One of my favorite restaurants when I touch down to LA is Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. The waffles and the chicken is always the same. I'm not going to LA to get Denny's chicken and waffles. Comparatively, Michael Jordan is the standard. And I believe if we're comparing chicken and waffles, Roscoe's is the standard. That being said, I think it's forced when we always have these Michael Jordan and LeBron James conversations because LeBron don't even play like Michael Jordan. LeBron is a muscular Magic Johnson with a better jumper. And I think when you look at Magic, when he came back from retirement, and I remember when you saw Rodman and Magic guarding each other, Magic was LeBron's size because he got stockier, and I think, those comparisons about championships and more, I don't remember people making that comparison with Russell and Michael. I don't remember people really making that type of discussion. I know I'm a little older than Joy, no shade, but I feel like I fell in love with the game in '91, and I don't remember that. I believe that because Isaiah had an injury, because Bird was old, and because Magic was old, and he was
there. It was there with Magic for a bit. It was there with Magic, yeah, and then it was to the point where it was like, fam.
Yeah, and I think even when people say, "Well, Michael beat Magic in the finals," yeah, that was '91. To me, that was like when Peyton, Shaq, and Kobe were all on the same team against a Pistons team. Like that to me, that doesn't really Perkins was cool, Vlade was cool, Magic was cool, but that wasn't Showtime Lakers. That was like pieces.
Byron Scott was hurt.
Yeah, so I just I'll leave with this. Like I remember I was with the Lakers the day before Kobe passed. They were in Philadelphia. That was the night that LeBron broke Kobe's scoring record. And I was sitting in the locker room with Kyle Kuzma, and I said, "Joe, you know Kobe well. You're on the team with LeBron. You've watched YouTube of Michael. Like, do you really? And you know Magic. Do you really get into this comparison thing?" And he said, "No." He goes, "I just like to enjoy watching those guys play individually, and I feel like people put too much stress on who's this, who's that." And it's funny because Kobe passed, and then I ran into Kuz a couple weeks later in Chicago, and I was like, "Yo," he was like, "Yo, that's crazy, right?" I said, "Yeah." He was like, "Yeah, man, people just need to enjoy and stop always looking for that linchpin to connect." I enjoyed all those guys for what they bring to the table because one day they won't be here anymore. I think you should, instead of comparing, just enjoy it.
Scoop, it's tough when LeBron keeps going. It's hard not to. He keeps giving you reasons, and I think this is my standpoint. I'm never gonna argue that Michael Jordan is the most dominant basketball player we've ever seen play. He hasn't lost in the finals. From day one, he was a dog. The only question you had is to tune Michael down and ask him to pass a little bit and kind of buy into what the Toronto had to offer. So I never compare Michael's dominance and stranglehold, as OG brought out, with LeBron James. But when I look at LeBron, I look at the longevity. I look at the things that LeBron was able to do with less. I think just simple as playing style. Today's NBA has evolved and gotten better. We would all agree. And I look at the role players. I look at the power forwards and the centers. I look at the skill set. And I understand that the physicality is not the same, but it doesn't mean that these guys are soft and they wouldn't be able to box. What's harder, to box out a power forward or to knock down an open three on the fast break? So I give the nod to today's NBA. Like I said, I love Michael and everything he's done, but LeBron James, his game just speaks to you because the guy was never supposed to be a scorer, and he's going to challenge Kareem for the greatest scorer of all time. We know what he can do facilitating the basketball. There's so many little things he does where I believe Michael would just go out and get a bucket, but LeBron James will go out and win in different eras. And I can't say that Michael wouldn't change his game. And I know the way that he played was how they won in their era. But when I look at LeBron James, I believe he would win in any era, and he's connected to where he can even win now because of his passing and scoring and playmaking ability. It's just a different load. Like, to me, Michael Jordan in this era will go down scoring 50 points with an L. With all due respect.
What I think Michael on the Wizards adjusted because of age. Wizards Michael adjusted. Wizards Michael reminds me of LeBron.
But they didn't win. Scoop.
Hold up.
They didn't win.
I'm going to interject here. So it's so funny that, again, I'm not going to hate on LeBron to pump Michael up. You're talking 1A, 1B, 1-2, however you want to put it. But let me say this. Our man, Mr. Haywood, that we've been on with the Mist, he does have a championship against who? With what team?
A young LeBron.
Who joined 2 of the best 5 players in the league and lost. Let's not get crazy here that he didn't have that. Then he comes back to Cleveland like he didn't have anybody. Like Kyrie wasn't going to be already a super
but I never
Kevin
thought
Love
that he was
and
dominant. LeBron James is grown as a basketball player. This is a completely different guy we're talking about.
No doubt. But you're talking about Michael Jeffrey.
Michael Jeffrey was taking L's, scoring 50 balls. So it ain't like Mike was winning either. Mike got swept.
When the lights came on, when did he get swept in a final?
It didn't matter. He had to make it to a final. He had to make it to a final. If LeBron James had the same team, Scott. If LeBron James had the same team, Scott, we would be talking to like Michael. Listen, Michael has Scotty, Kukoc, and the boys, and nothing changed, and the NBA didn't change, and the NBA didn't move, and the NBA that LeBron plays in
NCAA basketball.
So
the old heads.
Imagine if LeBron had prime Dwayne Wade.
That's the comparison to Jordan. If he had Wade his whole career, if him and Wade stuck together the whole career, that's how you compare.
And he took an L to the 2011 Mavericks.
But that's not the point. Go ahead, Stu.
I think so. Doug Collins to Phil Jackson, that transition meant a lot.
Yep.
LeBron in Cleveland was his Doug Collins moments. LeBron in Miami under Spoelstra via Pat Riley was his Phil Jackson moment. People weren't coming to Cleveland. You played in Cleveland, Ryan. You know Cleveland wasn't popping like that. The illest thing to do was to hang out to party in the basement at the 9 across the street from the Q. At the end of the day, people came to Cleveland after LeBron came back from Miami. I think that when you look at LeBron and the Heat, Wade made him better. Bosh made him better. Pat Riley made him better. They challenged him. That was the Phil Jackson Zen moment. But when he came to Cleveland, LeBron was the coach. What, Black, Ty Lue or not, LeBron was the coach of that team. Mm-hmm. And I think that when you look at comparisons, there's some comparisons, but there are some modern things that just don't make sense. I feel like that 2016 Cavs championship team had every bit of the DNA of Kobe and Shaq all over again. Kyrie being Kobe, the diva Kobe, and LeBron being Shaq. And the difference that was the fact that, and I'm not comparing Kobe to Kyrie, I'm just saying personality-wise. But I think I see Joy laughing. Okay. But I feel like at the end of, not comparing. I know you. I've seen you before. But at the end of the day, I think that when it comes down to how it was managed, it took Kobe's experience from dealing with Shaq and how he mentored and helped him navigate that situation. I think that when you look at LeBron, I think you just can't compare him to Michael. I just think that it's not fair to him.
We're gonna have to though, Scoop. As much as we may not, we may not. We're gonna have to, Scoop. And then guess what? LeBron is gonna retire, and we're gonna see him through a whole different lens.
Yes, because
and it's gonna be a whole different lens, Scoop.
Because he's this generation's Michael Jordan. He's not Michael Jordan. I think when I talk to my parents, Dr. J was their Michael Jordan comparatively.
But you knew Dr. J didn't compare to Michael.
No, because
but we know that
because Dr. J and Magic ran so Michael could fly. LeBron is in a whole nother category because I just like when we go back in time and we look at the LeBron era, we have to go back and give a lot of homage to Steph Curry because Steph came out of nowhere. And if LeBron is this era's Michael Jordan, then are we going to look at Steph Curry in the lens of Larry Bird or Magic? Because he won 3-4 rings.
Yeah, and in my opinion, if you're making the LeBron argument, the one I feel like is the one to make, in my opinion, is that this dude went to 3 different franchises as that guy and took those teams and said, yo, come on, let's go win this championship.
Exactly.
Okay, that's the one. If you're going to make that one, then I'm not going to argue.
And we don't
that's
know
the one. Like the Lakers 2 years ago.
If he could do that.
Yeah, with Lakers before with that Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, that was a mess. Luke Walton over there, he's like, okay, literally a year later, he's sitting there with an Anthony Davis piece, but that team is, a lot of pieces are gone, or weren't there, or that he,
I didn't think that last year's championship team, even though they played the Miami Heat, I didn't think that was the most talented championship or Lakers team on paper. You look at Anthony Davis, and then what else are you looking at from the team last year? There was not a lot. Now I would argue defensively, they go pound for pound with anybody in history. Defensively, that Lakers team last year. But as far as a talent perspective,
are you talking about comparison to older Laker teams?
Last year, just in general, LeBron's championship last year, I know that the knock is going to be that it was the Miami Heat. I don't compare that team as one of the great Laker teams or even great LeBron teams.
LeBron James.
That's not even close to the 87 team. Of course not. But I mean, it's a different era. I mean, the CBA and free agency and salary cap, that's changed a lot. The Celtics and Lakers, those teams aren't coming around anymore. Just the way the league's constructed. You can't, those teams, that's not happening.
LeBron James is this era's Michael Jordan because he went to 8 state championships by himself. But that's indicative upon the freelance culture that we live in now. He is a one-man show. He is the act. He is the talent. He's the agent. He's the producer. He's the closer. He's the technical director. He's the stage manager. He's the lighting. He's the sound. But Michael Jordan was the show. I don't care if you went to Phoenix. I don't care if you went to the Garden. I don't care if you went to the Meadowlands Arena. There were kids with Bulls jerseys on in the same way. Like last season. Yeah, last season I was in a few arenas, and I remember just sitting and specifically the United Center, and I just walked around the arena, and I'm thinking, yo, that's the Madhouse in Madison. That's the house that Michael built, and you like, damn, you see all these people in Michael Jordan's arena with Lakers 23 jerseys on. LeBron wouldn't wear 23 if it wasn't for Michael. Like,
that's a point.
We're not bad. I mean, look, he give homage to Mike.
I hear all these.
Stop your hating, Ryan.
But I feel like, but look, like, I don't know about you, but I'm not going to go into the sneaker store to buy the new LeBrons.
Of course, I mean, the impact is different.
Come on, School.
The impact is different, but the question is, your impact can be different, like I said before, but as far as a better player, like, for example, LeBron James, the impact that he has on his teams, I don't think you can put Michael Jordan on certain teams that LeBron has won on and say,
heck no, can't do it.
Like LeBron James had Dwight Howard, who a lot of teams weren't interested in. He had people like Rondo, who a lot of people weren't, they gave up on. And he got he pretty much got them a championship and said, "Oh, you want to ring? Like, come on!" And just that's pretty much how it was. And so I feel like LeBron doesn't get enough credit for making teams work with what he has. and winning like that.
I feel like Kobe Bryant, because of an Achilles injury, was forced into an earlier retirement. And as much as people and because of his untimely death, they're making people believe that it's only Michael or LeBron. To me, Kobe Bryant, player-wise, is the closest thing to Michael Jordan. And had he not and if the Lakers had beat the Pistons in 2004, and if the Lakers had beaten the Celtics in 2008, he'd have what? He passed at 5 or 4. It was 5, right?
5.
He'd have more championships than Michael. And I feel like we would be having this conversation.
Right.
But you also have to look at, and that's where we start talking the whole package. That's where we start talking about Michael Jordan's leadership. Now, it was his style of leadership. It was to punch you in the face, talk trash to you. I'm going to bring my A game, so you better bring your A game. But that was Michael Jordan's leadership. Kobe Bryant didn't know how to coexist with other players until Paul Gasol got there. And then him and Paul Gasol got there and clicked, and he was like, oh, this is the teammate thing. LeBron James had to grow as a leader. You know, he's made some snarky remarks in the paper that had his teammates questioning him, you know, that had people frustrated with him. Leadership was something he learned. Now, LeBron has it now like the back of his hand with a guy like Anthony Davis, so him and AD on the same page. So, you know, we do have to look at leadership when we blame a Kobe Bryant. We got to say, well, Kobe, why you didn't go sit down with Shaq? Why you ain't go drag him into workouts? You know what I'm saying? He didn't took your ear, even though you were younger than him. He'd have figured it out. So we do have to credit Michael. We do have to credit LeBron from a leadership aspect in the things that they do off the court to make it work. Brendan talks about, hey, you may not respect him as much, you may not like LeBron, but he's a heck of a teammate. And there's some things he could have done better, but you know LeBron is a good dude at the end of the day.
Right.
So you question his teammates roll with him like, I know he has his moment, but he's a good dude, man.
Mr. JP said Jordan used to punch Steve Kerr. That ain't leadership.
My point is like it worked. It worked. We can't fight it. It worked. You know.
I think another thing that often gets overlooked too. It drives me crazy. You know, Jordan was a 9-time first-team All-NBA defender too, right?
He was.
Like we can't. That's tied for the most in basketball. Him and Kobe 9.
Right.
LeBron 5. Like there's levels to this, like defensively, like MJ wasn't letting you win on that end either.
Janelle.
And early in his career, LeBron was playing passing lanes like AI.
Yeah, like LeBron could do it. It's the same thing you look at like Shaq, right? You're gonna look at Shaq as though he's the most dominant. Yet, as much as I love Shaq and I'm a Laker homer, he never once led the league in blocks or rebounds. Like, to me, that will always come back. Like, he could have been more dominant than he was, but that 2000 to 2002, I mean, you could put that 3-year stretch.
Scoop, I want to, on that same note, OG, I want to tag back to something Scoop said. I think there's elements where, and I played with Kyrie, I would compare Kyrie a little more to Shaq than Kobe. I understand the diva-ness that Kobe had, and that's probably partially why they got along so well. No disrespect to the late, great Kobe Bryant or my brother Kyrie Irving. But I would say in terms of Shaq, to where with Kyrie, the basketball comes so easy to him that there's a lot of things that Kyrie can take for granted. And that's what I saw so much of with Shaquille O'Neal. He could sit around, eat hot wings, go to the game and have 40 and 20 because he had Rick Smits guarding him, because he had Vlade Divac guarding him. You know what I'm saying? Like, so Kyrie, to an extent, knows that he can go and get busy. And I'm not saying he doesn't train hard. I'm not saying he doesn't work, but he wasn't thinking on a championship level. There's something that he had to go out and develop. So I would compare him more to Shaq in the sense that the game comes so easy to Kyrie that he's taken leadership for granted in some aspects. He's taken maybe his health or taking care of his body for granted in certain aspects, because everything is, he's the most, Joy, you said it earlier, and I'm doubling down because I played with him. He is the most talented point guard we've ever seen play the game of basketball. He can shoot the ball like Ray Allen. He's got the best handles we've ever seen, and he's arguably the greatest finisher for a guard under 6 feet we've seen. So his skill set is second to none. It's just like, all right, where's the leadership? Where's the, all right, you know, why are you not thinking a game like James Harden? You're more talented than James Harden and always have been. But James Harden is the one facilitating and playing chess with everybody playing checkers. So there's certain things you do want to see from Kyrie outside of just the scoring.
Exactly. And it's kind of ironic because KD and Kyrie have rings. Like, they got a championship. And you just said, like, James Harden is the one, I guess, playing the smartest out of everybody. He doesn't even have one. So I think that's impressive on James Harden's side. But I feel like this season, we're going to see exactly who KD and Kyrie and James Harden are as leaders for sure.
All right, guys. Well, we like to have a part of the show we like to end out called Big Man Bias. Where we answer your questions, your comments, concerns. We also want to come out and shout out these badges. You guys have been amazing. We just kind of freestyled this thing today. Thank you for hanging with us. Shout out my brother King Kong Robert, too cool in the chat, doing his thing as always. Shout out the First Lady Ange B321, my man in the house, King Cali Cat, killing it, and the Rail Cesar 88. That's my little brother right there. You guys know. First question of the day. For Big Man Bias, Cowboys re-signed Dak to 4-year deal. Wow.
Dak got paid.
What did you say, Scoop? I don't have the numbers, but it's a 4-year deal, and apparently it's a decent little deal. They took care of that.
126 guaranteed.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that is high. That's much higher than we would have paid, right? We've had this discussion about tier 1 quarterbacks and how much they should probably get the allotted salary cap. But
what's up, Mario?
The TV deals are about to hit, and that money's going to keep going up and up and up. So Jerry might have actually got somewhat of a deal here. Probably ends up working for both sides. There's probably, what I heard, there could have been a play that Dak could have made had he waited, but I think he saw that last time. I'm going to wait, and he ended up getting more. So big ups to Dak getting his money.
Outside of scoring, social reform, put some respect on Kyrie's name. I think you do have to look at the things that Kyrie's doing off the court. You do have to question some of the stuff he does on the court because he is a professional. He did sign a contract. There's certain things we sign up for. Kyrie misses 15 to 20 years every game. And by all means, this is definitely not a bash Kyrie session. That's my little bro right there. So that's not going to change. But, he has a chance to be absolutely great. Mavericks championship run, most underrated.
Mavericks?
Yeah, low key.
What do you mean low key? There ain't nothing low key other than the low record that they got. No, they ain't doing a damn thing. That's the most disappointing team in basketball outside of the Denver Nuggets. Maybe.
No. The Mavericks, when they win a championship, their
when
run,
they won it,
the year they won it,
11.
is that underrated?
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They're bugging this year. They're bugging this year.
Yeah, that Dirk Nowitzki run that he had was incredible.
Shout out Big Money Game. Congrats on the money though, Big O. Why do we not put Steph on the GOAT point guard list? Here's part of the reason that LeBron is still playing good, because he has to rely on less athleticism. When is Steph going to get his respect, guys?
Steph does get his respect because people look at him as a spoon-fed, silver spoon guy, and the fact that his dad played in the league, and the fact that people feel as though had Kyrie and those boys not gotten hurt in 2015, the Cavs were won. Look at
No, I'm just talking to the chat sometimes.
I just think, and I think he's too clean. I think people like assholes.
Scoop, they want to know if you're officially
Ryan.
doing this show in a robe right now.
Say what?
They want to know, after the stuff you said to Joy, are you officially doing this show in a robe right now? Is that confirmed?
No, it's not, because Joy was on. I had the robe on from the beginning. Listen, man, you was on live. I clicked in. You invited me. I was in the crib. I was in my office doing work.
Tell him, Scoop.
If I had more time, I would have dressed up. But I'm
Scoop, don't shoot the messages, Scoop. That's the chat.
I'm not mad.
That's the
Tell him,
chat, Scoop.
I said what I said.
Hey, Scoop, you know what they say? Just say it with your chest.
Pretty much.
Can we pretend that the two-time?
Hey, Ryan, hold on. I gotta finish this. This is another reason Curry is not the greatest of all time. Magic was there in the finals 9 times in 12 years, and he's got 3 MVPs. He's still got a ways to go. And you want to put Curry too, good, but then you slide in Zeke, and that's But Curry first unanimous MVP. I'm on with that. But come on, let's not forget what the greatest point guard of all time did.
Is Lonzo Ball getting traded?
Yes.
Yes, I think yeah.
To who? Where do you guys think he goes?
Hopefully.
Me. Ladies first.
I like him in Miami, but then again, I don't.
Just from various people around the league, I've reported this on Inauguration Day. The Mavericks, the Bulls, the Heat, the Knicks have had interest. Realistically, the Bulls can include a package that could include Thaddeus Young, Larry Markkinen, as well as Satoransky. I'm hearing that Kobe White is untouchable. I think a lineup with Zach LaVine and Lonzo Ball would be, great, particularly playing under Billy Donovan, who does very well with his point guards as well as his stars overall. Having the cachet of coaching, Kevin Durant and others, Chris Paul last year. So Lonzo Ball is the intrigue of the Chicago Bulls. It's a matter of who they're able to do it to trade with, and if you include a third team in that deal to kind of sweeten the pot for everybody. A lot of movement in the point guard position and expiring contracts. Kyle Lowry being one of those guys. Harris over and with the Nuggets being another one of those guys. So it'll be interesting.
Steph is the greatest shooter, but Dame may be the better shot maker. Agreed. No real problem with that. Did teams make a mistake passing on LaMelo Ball? Yes, they did. Y'all heard me right here on this live saying they should have got him. And Brendan argued me down like I just didn't know. Like I didn't know what I was talking about.
LaMelo's special. He's a special talent. I watched him in high school, well, right after high school when he played in the JBL, the league that his dad had. And I remember at that game, there were a lot of scouts and people there saying he was like a young T-Mac, just height-wise, and just ability to get to the basket. And I feel like playing overseas, I feel like he had that Brandon Jennings adjustment where you play the international game and then you brought that international game, back to the States. The difference is, Jennings was a lefty, herky-jerky, played like Kenny Anderson. LaMelo was more like I know everybody uses the Jason Kidd analogy, but that playmaker, that fast break, but he plays well in the half-court set too. I think people just think he's a fast break point guard. He manages that team very well. And playing alongside was Devontae Graham is on the Hornets as well. I like the fact that Jay Borrego benched him at first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not mad at. I think he's the player he is right now because of that, and that system is really good. Slept on. There's a lot of good guards there, so he instead of just being thrown the job, he has other guards that are pushing him. Kira says, "Where do you think Andre Drummond's going to be going?"
Hopefully not the Lakers, because I would cry. But hopefully not the Lakers. I'm a Heat fan / Wizards fan, and I want some type of hope for my teams. And I feel like if Andre Drummond goes to Lakers, it's going to be like LeBron versus Golden State all over again. We're going to see LeBron and Golden State in the finals every single year, and I do not want that to happen. So, yeah.
He's got to be bought out, though, right? Because of his deal is not going to allow him, if he has to be then traded, then that's going to take out a lot of options. What do you think, Scoop?
I was on television talking about this yesterday. Kobe Altman, the general manager of the Cavaliers, is looking to make a deal. And, a name that I've heard a lot is the Boston Celtics. I've heard the Heat's name used a lot as well as Brooklyn. Of course, the Brooklyn part was pre Blake Griffin coming. The only way we see Drummond coming to the Lakers is if he gets a buyout. The Cavs don't have to buy him out, and the Cavs want something for him. JB Bickerstaff is building something over there, and they've come a long way since John Beilein was over there as the head coach. And You know, I think like the sky is they have infinite possibilities in Cleveland, particularly with Colin Sexton, as well as Jared Allen. I got a chance to watch Jared Allen during his time with the Nets, and I mean that guy is going to be a special player. I see him as a center in an All-Star game for many years to come. So Andre Drummond, he wants to win a championship. He has interest in the Knicks. He has interest in the Lakers as well, but it all depends on whether he's bought out.
Here's a good point from Welder. He said, Artman, he said, why is it okay for the Nets to get whatever they need, but it's a problem if the Lakers are going to go out and get a big-time free agent? Why does that seem to be the problem?
They said think about the Lakers last year.
It's LeBron. Like the fact that he's considered, because the fact that he's considered the best player in the league and things like that, and even GOAT conversations. Any free agent, superstar, whatever you want to call it, anybody paired with him is a huge threat, and they don't want it to happen, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, shoot, man. Appreciate you guys coming through. You guys have been amazing. As always, very impromptu. Appreciate you. Let me shout out these badges, man. We are a community. We follow each other. We support my brother Robert Too Cool King Kong in the chat, who's been killing it. AngeB321. Go follow, like, support everything she's going. Follow King Cali Cat and the Real Cesar 88, man. Make sure you follow. Scoop, where can we check out your latest stuff, brother? I know anything Nets, you all over it, all NBA, all everything. But where can we check out? I know this. I said all NBA, man. Where can we check you out, man?
Y'all say in LA the Lakers. You can check out all my work. Scoop B Radio podcast available on streaming platforms. YouTube. Subscribe. Contact Scoop B. Follow me on Twitter at Scoop B. What you laughing at?
About me?
Yeah.
Oh, somebody said somebody wrote in the comments. I was sorry.
They still talking about that.
Rob has already slid in DMs. Look at him. Like, he goes in there faster than Pete Rose. Come on, Rob.
Yeah, I see it. This
Easy
man
now,
was
Rob.
ready, bro. Yes. Nah, man, it's a good day. Nobody's trying to shoot their shot at all. Nobody.
All right, Joy, where can we catch up with your latest projects? I know you're killing it with the pod, with Gowie and B-Dot, doing big things there. Where can we find it? Where can we subscribe? All that good stuff.
Well, my Instagram is Joy D'Angela. I also have a separate interview series called Unrestricted. That's on YouTube, and that's Joy D'Angela as well. Follow me on Twitter, Joy D'Angela. And you can find our podcast on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. So, yeah. But I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it for me, having me on here today. It was really fun. It was really fun.
Oh, OG, you got any shout outs, man? I know the Twitter page is popping.
Man, it's we stay active in them streets. But no,
Coach Cherry.
You'll find me in here, and you got a lot. I'm just trying to make sure the chat's behaving.
All right, man. Appreciate you guys getting your best behavior. I will see you guys soon, man. Appreciate you guys, man. Thank you for coming through, man. Peace.